Love it. Well, tonight it's Wednesday Words, and my guest is the founder of the writing school, the Creative Hub, John Cranna. John, tell us about the Creative Hub, Auckland's downtown writing centre.
Right, Karyn. So we're very fortunate. We've established this small, perhaps even boutique writing centre down in Princes Street, and we've managed to attract some of the best writers, best authors in the country. We're very privileged to have people like Tessa Duda and Roger Hall and Elizabeth Smither and some of the other really great authors working with us. And we have an open door policy. We've been going about eight years now, and we have about 600 graduates. So we're quite a thriving little business, quite a thriving little concern, and we've had a number of our authors get published too, so that's great.
And of course, you're a published author yourself.
I am, yes. I've published several books myself, both here and overseas.
Not much time for writing while you're cracking on with the Creative Hub.
No, that's right. That's right. There's an agent in London who's been screaming out for my, the latest draft of my manuscript, but she's just going to have to wait a bit because it's been a pretty intense experience setting up the Creative Hub, but very rewarding also.
So you've moved to Princess Street now. Whereabouts are you there?
So we're in one of those beautiful old Victorian merchant houses there, and number 23. And so we have this lovely panoramic view out over Albert Park, so it's a very conducive place to write. And it's right next to the Frank Sargison flat, actually, which is a lovely old 19th century brick building which hosts a writer's.
I know it well.
Yeah, you know it well. You've been a fellow.
I've been a fellow, yes.
As indeed have I, where I found Janet Frame's milk bottles under the sink. So it's a very historic and beautiful place.
How did you know they were Janet Frame's milk bottles?
Because there's a little cardboard sign around their neck which said "Frame 4 pints."
Gee, I didn't see them. I didn't see them when I was there. Maybe somebody stole them.
I think they're probably worth a bit now. So so I carefully put them back. But she was actually the first fellow, so she was an illustrious forebear of those of us who subsequently had that scholarship.
Gosh, yes, and there's some wonderful books in the Sargison Centre and some fabulous pictures on the walls too of some of the previous writers.
That's right, and so, it's very much part of our vision too, Karyn, to try and locate ourselves in a really exciting and rewarding period in Kiwi literature and writing, to really sink our roots into that tradition, but also to nurture the next generation of authors and writers, the Janet Frames of the future, as it were.
Well, in your recent newsletter, it said, we're concerned that some of the most vivid voices in New Zealand may not be being heard because of a lack of financial resources. Now, that applies to many writers, of course, but most of us, yeah. But what is the Creative Hub doing specifically for this?
Right, so that's a really good question. I mean, we've recently formed the Creative Hub Educational Trust, Karyn, which is specifically designed to attract partnerships through sponsorship and philanthropists and other folk who share our vision of a great new generation of Kiwi storytellers. And the whole point of that trust is to generate finance and monies for people who are very talented but who can't afford our longer courses, because our 6-month course now is reasonably expensive. It's up around $6,000, and it's a very intense course, and the students on that course get tutored, as I say, by leading New Zealand authors, and a number of them. So we've tried to hold it as low as we can, so we don't deter folk from more humble backgrounds. But inevitably in Auckland, with prices going up and so on, we've had to increase those fees. So we're now really keen to offer or generate a pool of money so that we can offer scholarships for some, really promising, gifted young authors, and perhaps authors from ethnic minority backgrounds and so on, Māori and Pacifica. And that way, some of the really exciting and promising voices that I see coming through our introductory courses will have an opportunity to do our longer novel writing course. So will
you weed them out from the introductory course?
Yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll offer these scholarships, and then the students will have an opportunity to submit a manuscript and an application for the scholarship, and then we have a panel who will assess them and ensure that we get the most promising folks from the application pool.
That's great. And some of the courses that you do, you've got an introduction to creative writing. You've also got an advanced fiction memoir course. That's something that people will be interested in.
Yeah, that's right, Karen. So we've got an introductory 6-week course, and then we've got a 6-month course, and then we've got one above that as well, which is a 3-month advanced course, and that's for, we bring in people like Jeff Walker, who was the fiction publisher at Penguin Books for the last 25 years. And so they work with people like Jeff to really polish and fine-tune their manuscript at that higher advanced level. So we have 3 tiers, as it were, and a number of our more successful students have gone through all 3 of those tiers. People like Karyn Mills, for instance, who published a sellout novel last year called Tasting Stars, which was widely profiled on TV and in the media and sold out on publication day. She went through that whole 3-tier system. And, she's a really interesting case. She came from a very humble background in South Auckland, became a South Auckland teacher, and wrote a beautiful, poignant novel stroke memoir about a little girl who survives a violent childhood and goes on to win a national and then international speech writing competition. And it's a really inspirational book. And Karyn's exactly the kind of person who we really want to encourage this exciting new generation of storytellers who have stories like Karyn's to tell.
And you don't have to live in Auckland to start writing with you, because your courses are online too, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. So we offer our introductory course online, and in fact we have folks from all over the country doing that one, and then some of them subsequently, come to Auckland and do our longer course. We've actually had people commuting to our courses from as far away as Whangarei and Tauranga. So, it's we call ourselves the Creative Hub, and we like to think of ourselves as a bit of as a community, and that draws people from primarily around the Auckland area, but certainly from sometimes even from overseas. People flown in from Australia to do our courses. So it's a really exciting little hub of activity.
Yeah, I can't wait to see your new premises. They sound absolutely beautiful.
Well, as a published author, Karyn, we're hoping to lure you in to do a workshop later on.
I'd love to do a workshop, yes. There's a lot of subjects that I personally struggle with that I'd like to help others with.
Yeah. So, that's very much part of our mission, bringing in authors like yourself, published authors, fiction authors, and others who've learned the ropes, who've done their apprenticeship, and who have this wonderful body of skills and techniques that they can pass on to the next generation. And that was always part of my vision when I was starting up the Hub, to bring in the older generation, to pass on, that sense of generativity and passing on skills to the next generation.
Well, there's so much more to writing than just writing, isn't there?
That's right. I mean, as Roger Hall says, he's one of our tutors also, New Zealand's New Zealand's most successful playwright. He says overnight success usually takes about 15 years. And then he does a workshop in which he explains how he, assiduously learned all the wonderful skills of dialogue writing that he learned, and the many years of perfection and craft and technique, and learning from the masters and learning from great plays and so on. And it's always a revelation to hear him talk about how much work went into achieving the kind of, the kind of level that he has achieved now. And he was telling me recently that he's putting on he just started a new play in Christchurch in the last month, so he's still going strong, and he's been writing for 40, 50 years now in New Zealand. So it's inspirational for the students,
and
exposed to someone like him.
Yes, absolutely. And as we all know, or hope we do, that in order to break the rules, if you're a rule breaker in literature, you have to know them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that's true of all art forms, Karyn. I mean, I think it's true of music, it's true of painting, it's true of certainly of literature and writing books. You need to do the apprenticeship, find out what the core set of crafts and techniques are, and then, of course, you can break them with inspiration and experience. And I think all the great writers do break the rules, but all the great writers have, it's like these jazz pianists who are all classically trained. They become adept at improvisation because, of course, they have been so beautifully schooled in the fundamental techniques of harmony and melody. And it's the same with great writers. They know all about how to create a great scene and how to write sizzling dialogue and how to choose the right point of view, all that technical stuff. they're familiar with before they break the rules.
Indeed. Well, I feel a little bit like your agent now. I feel that I'm talking to you. No, I just think I'm talking to you and I'm taking up your valuable time when you could be writing.
Not at all, Karyn. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
It's John Cranna from the Creative Hub, and for any altruistic folk listening tonight, commercial or otherwise, John is keen to hear from possible partners for the Creative Hub's scholarship program that he talked about. All his contact details are online and the website is creativehub.net.nz.